So this is an update on the progress with this language learning app that I'm trying to make. And so a bit of background, the way this started was that I used to, like a few months ago, I would try and learn, I was learning Hindi, I'm still learning Hindi, but I was trying to use ChatGPT by doing something like saying, create a few lines in Hindi with word by word translation. Okay, and so it'd give you some words in Hindi, and then you get the like the romanized version and then the translation, and I would start like writing these down, and that was something I was doing to learn. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cool if you could somehow like make some kind of website that helps you learn Hindi using, or some other language using the like OpenAI API. And then I discovered that OpenAI has a text-to-speech feature, which is cool. And so came up with this kind of simple thing. So I'll just take some Hindi, and yeah, so there's this text-to-speech feature where you can send a text block to OpenAI's API, and it gives you an audio file. And so this is cool. Am I connected to the internet? Yes, okay. So I don't know if you can...
राधिका गोरी जैसे एक दूसरे से मिलकर हो गए चांद चकोरी कान्हा मुरली की तान सुनावे.
So I don't know if you can hear that, because I guess it's playing from the laptop, and we're recording audio on the laptop, so it may or may not be picked up. But anyway, I had this idea of like you get the lyrics of a song in the language that you want to learn, copy and paste them into a text input like this, and then it gives you a line by line, word by word translation, and also the audio of the line and also each word. And then you can go through each of those lines, learn each word, and then over time, as you listen to this song again that you like, you can start to recognize more and more, and that can be something that can kind of benefit your learning in like a fun way that's listening to music. Or perhaps even you could add like a YouTube link, and then there's a way to get the transcript with an API. I think it's called the YouTube transcript API or something. And so the idea is you could paste a YouTube link, get the transcript in the language that you want, and then it also does this thing where it translates each line, each word, and then you can listen to the YouTube video and start to recognize it. And then there was also maybe this idea of, in addition to that, the words that are generated can go into like a quiz app. So this, for example, is just something I came up with like in a few prompts of Claude. So that's the Chinese character yi, which means one. Okay, that's sh, which means like to be. Yeah, okay. Le is like happened, something happened already. Completed action marker. And da is like possessive part. Yeah, okay. Boo is no. These are all easy. Ren is people. Well, yeah, these are all super easy, huh? There's lots of Chinese characters that I don't know, trust me. To have, okay. Ta is he, yeah. Zai, is that like here or something? Place, okay, no, at, okay, right, anyway. So this is, I guess, the first or second video in recording my progress in trying to make this app that I'm trying to describe. And so the first step was to get the API, access the API to get the audio. So that happens in this file, and maybe it'll make a bit more sense if I just go and if I open up the folder of the files. Yes, okay, open that. So that was this one, I think. And response, await, fetch, OpenAI, speech, and then it sends the text that's inputted, and very good. Okay, and then yesterday I made a bit more progress, and let's just see what I managed to do yesterday. It was, so I started by trying to get the text translation. So you put in a text and it breaks it down into lines, and then each line it gives you specifically like the Romanized version of the sound, then a word-by-word translation, and then a natural translation. I think somewhere I have the, it's here, open with, fine, text editor. So these are the prompts that I came up with, and then it gives you a JSON format. So this is the output from Gemini. I actually ended up using Gemini. So the original word-by-word translation in this case Chinese, Pinyin, and English, and then the natural translation, and it has this for every line. And this is a JSON format output. It took a while to figure out how to design a prompt that would give this output in this specific format, but it was basically just a process of I went on GPT, gave it some text and said translate this line by line, and then it gave some translation line by line, and I said, oh no, I want it to do this as well, and then, oh, can you make it word by word with Pinyin, and then, could you put that in a JSON format, and oh, this is wrong, could you do these things? A few prompts later, like 10 prompts later, I had a nice format, and then I said to GPT, can you write a prompt that will do this in one shot? And it wrote a prompt and then gave it to Claude and said, hey, this prompt does this thing, can you make it better? Can you make it more robust, more reliable? And then eventually gave it to Google AI Studio and said, again, can you make this even better? And through some iterations and getting it wrong a few times, I went through like a few different prompts. These ones ended up being quite long. And then for some reason they broke in some special cases, but then this one ended up being really good. So it's like, you are a translation assistant with expertise in detailed Chinese to English linguistic analysis. I will provide you a Chinese text. Please give a line-by-line translation in the following format. For each line of the text given, I want the following in a JSON object. And it specifies the JSON object, gives an example, and then please yeah. And so that went into this thing, which, so this, at the end of the day, I'd only just figured out how to get the Python working. I had this Python file at the end of the day, which essentially worked. So there's the prompt and instruction, then it adds the text, and then it does response, client models, generate content, Gemini 2.0 Flash, and this one essentially works. So I had this, and then it was the end of the day, and I just had a few minutes left before I had to go and meet my girlfriend, or I'd be late. And I just chucked it into Claude and said, hey, can you make a interface, HTML JavaScript interface that shows this? And it came up with this, which I thought was pretty good for one shot prompts. So let's just give it some Chinese text. And what does this do? Pretty sure connected to the internet, and it should work. Takes a little while. And right, so it gives you the Chinese, then it gives you Chinese, Pinyin, English, Chinese, Pinyin, English, and then it gives you like a natural translation. for each line. So you can cycle between the lines, and it gives you a card for each line. Right, so that's where the progress was yesterday. And today I worked on this again and ended up with this one. Essentially this. Let's just do that again. And this is the final one. I took away the styling just to make it easier, make the code shorter, so when I put it into a model like Google AI Studio, it has less to read. So I'll make it short and then put it into the AI model, add all the features, and then when it's finished I can do the styling, and the styling will be easy. Right, so this was yesterday's version, and then today's version is a little bit different. Looks quite similar, but I figured out that it would be more efficient to chunk the text into multiple pieces, and then the idea is, instead of having to wait for the whole thing to translate, if it's in nice small pieces, like the first line can translate, and then you get the first card, and you can start reading it while the rest of it is translating. So that was the main thing I did today. And then this is a more polished version on the back end side. I think it does chunks of 5 lines at the moment. You can change the number of lines in a chunk. Yeah, so that's just two chunks. This one had a bug where the translating button stays like that even when it's finished. So I fixed the bug, and I put the natural translation at the top. And yeah, so that's kind of where we are now. Next steps are to incorporate the text-to-speech feature. So I want to be able to click on each individual word to get, and it'll say that word, or click on the Chinese and it'll say the Chinese. And I also want like a list below this with like every word that appears in the text once, with again, you can press it and it'll say it.
Hello.
Hello, hi.
Wow.
I should
How's your day?